All the information presented here is from closed beta test 2. Keep in mind that it might change on release. And links to all gameplay footage shown are in the description below. Hello! A few weeks ago, I knew nothing about Wuthering Waves. I signed up for and failed to get chosen to join any of the closed beta tests. But to make up for that, I did a lot of research and watched so many videos on Wuthering Waves to hopefully share with you everything you need to know about the game from a Hoyoverse player's perspective as well, because there are so many parallels. I'm not saying that this game is a clone or whatever. I care about Hoyoverse games and I care about Wuthering Waves. I want all of the games to do well. It's just overall a win-win. So good news if you're a Genshin Impact or Honkai Star Rail player. A lot of this might seem familiar to you, and this video is targeted to you. Let's go in order of what I think is the most important and what I want to know first. Namely, combat. When I play a game, I care about if the combat is smooth and if it will keep me coming back, because ultimately, these are action games. And man, the combat in this game is looking very promising. There are a lot of systems. Starting off with the basic ones, aka basic attack, elemental skills, and elemental bursts using Genshin terms. And it's pretty much the same here. Every character has a attack string, a skill that generates energy, and then an ultimate that uses said energy to do a more powerful attack. And there's usually a cutscene and a whole animation before the attack gets unleashed as well. But here's where it gets interesting. On top of that, there are two other main systems in combat. Starting off with Forte. To explain this simply, basically above every character's HP bar, there is a meter. And every character charges that bar meter differently. And upon filling that meter, you can do some cool stuff depending on the character. Every character has a different forte. I've heard some people say this isn't really a whole new system because it's basically like an extension of the character's kit. Think of it as just a visual indicator for when you can do a cool thing with that character. And then we have another system of energy, which is Concerto. And how much Concerto you have at any given point is indicated on the left side of your health bar. Essentially, what happens when you fill up your Concerto is you can trigger intro and outro effects that change from character to character. An example of some outro effects with a lot of the characters in the game right now is providing an elemental damage boost to the next character you switch into, for example, when that character switches out. So for example, if you use like Alto, he's an arrow damage dealer. We'll get more into that later, but he will boost arrow damage of the next character you switch into. So you have to be mindful to switch into a character that actually does arrow damage to make full use of that. Okay, apart from that, I probably should have said this earlier. The order of this is kind of messed up, but you also have 3 characters only. So it's not so much about creating elemental reactions as well, because there's no such thing in this game. There are elements, but the elements don't really matter as much, not in the way that it does in Genshin. Yes, there are different elements in the game, but I think that's just a way of diversifying the damage types, I guess. And generally, as it seems right now with the outro skills, you want to pair like an arrow damage support with an arrow damage dealer. And that's the only real interaction between elements and team building and combat that I can see for now. The real fun of the combat system to me, it seems, is in the mechanics itself. Parrying, dodging, and all those things. And dodging is essentially very simple. You do a dodge at a perfect time and you mitigate all damage. And parrying is some attacks from bosses and enemies will have a little yellow circle around them, and that's when you know you can parry. You press the parry button and it cancels the enemy's attack, and at the same time depletes a bunch of their toughness bar. And once all of their toughness bar depletes, they can't move and they take more damage, which is quite standard to most games. The fun in this game is more reactive in nature rather than proactive, because you're really reacting to enemies to get the perfect counters, get the perfect dodges, rather than just building a team with elemental reactions and then applying it on the enemy in a certain way and then doing your stuff. In games like Genshin, it's more focused on what you're doing to enemy, and Star Rail as well. However, in this game, it's about how do I avoid what the enemy is doing? How do I take advantage of specific weaknesses in the enemy and exploit them? So that sounds fun. The combat system sounds cool and all, but where do we actually fight enemies? Where's the combat content? Well, you'll be very pleased to know, if you're someone who wants endgame from Genshin, that there's a lot of replayable endgame content in this game. A Spiral Abyss equivalent from Genshin, a Simulated Universe equivalent from Star Rail, and also hologram challenges, which are essentially world bosses but with different difficulty settings that can go up to really, really difficult. And I heard that their attack patterns change as well with each difficulty. Not only making them do more damage and take more damage, but also making it so that you probably have to relearn the entire fight. I'm personally really looking forward to the holograms because I feel like it's nice to be able to build up a character and then use them to their full potential against content that actually requires their full potential. And holograms really sound like that, as well as Spiral Abyss. However, the way the enemies in holograms are described to me from people who have actually played and fought them sound like they're pretty formidable. Okay, so what's the daily grind like? Most gacha games are about daily routine, logging in for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, doing your stuff, logging out, and then repeating. Maybe not at launch, it will take you some time to get there. However, after a point, in most gacha games, usually that's the only way to progress, and even in the end game, you want to do that for a consistent source of premium currency. Well, there's also stamina, like Genshin and Star Rail, and use it on pretty much the same things as in Genshin and Star Rail. And there are daily commissions as well, which is pretty much the same as Genshin daily commissions. You run around, kill some monsters, talk to some people. So nothing crazy there. As for the progression systems in this game, there are two main ones I noticed. There's the union level and there's databank level. Union level is basically your adventurer experience, your trailblaze experience. And it's pretty much the same what it does. As you increase in level, you get rewards and also the enemies in your world get stronger. The databank level is interesting though. So in this game, there's a whole system of echoes, which we'll get into later. But essentially, to get higher level echoes and to get higher drop rates of echoes, you need to level up your databank. And you level up your databank by catching echoes, by getting echoes. I said echoes a lot. So what is echoes? Echoes are essentially the artifacts, relics in this game. And the way you get them is through killing mobs in the overworld. Think about it like killing monsters in Genshin, like killing hilitrolls. And once you kill the hilitroll, there's a chance to absorb the hilitroll and they are your artifact. And like the Hoyo games, there are different main stats as well. When you get higher databank level, there's higher drop rates of these echoes. There's a higher chance that you can actually absorb the mob. And you can get higher rarity echoes going up to 5 stars, like our golden artifacts in Genshin. So that sounds great, right? You can just infinitely farm your world because it respawns every day. And even if your world is fully cleared, you can just go to your friend's world and you can just keep farming until you get all the correct main stats. Doesn't that sound too good to be true? Well, it does, but it is true. You can actually get all the best main stats you want just from doing this. So even if you're unlucky, you can just brute force farm and eventually you get the correct main stat. It's not like you're being time gated, hard time gated. If you have time to farm a lot, you will get your correct main stats. So where's the catch? There has to be a catch, right? Well, it's the fact that you need stamina to level up these echoes. And you can't use other echoes that are not leveled to level them up. It doesn't work that way. You have to go into a domain. You have to spend your wave plates, aka stamina, to get level up material. So a likely scenario, if you play a lot, is that you just have a lot of correct main stats, but you can't upgrade them. But then you might hear that, and if you're like me, you would say, well, actually, that's still super good, because if you're coming from Genshin and Star Rail, you'll be like, well, if I can farm like 100 crit damage main stat relics, yeah, sure, even though my leveling of them is stamina gated, at least I can find guaranteed crit damage main stat with crit rate substat, and I can just level those ones. So at least the ones I end up leveling have a high chance of just being good pieces. However, I just found this out recently and it's quite a bummer, but you have to level up the Echo to reveal its substats. There are no substats revealed at level 0. So basically all Echoes that have the same main stat have the same value, which makes it so you only really need to farm as much Echoes as you have stamina to level them up. So yes, it's a gacha game. I should have expected it, but we are stamina gated on Echoes even if we have a lot of time to spend and farm the map 24/7 every day. Speaking of which, we generate 1 of the stamina every 6 minutes, so basically same as Star Rail. As for some other things, I can't really comment on the story because I didn't watch any gameplay of it, but I know people said that it was quite bad in the first beta test, but in second beta test it got better. Keyword, they say it got better, and not that it's good. And I also want to say that there's a skip button in this game, so do with that what you will. Also, story is subjective, and maybe you'll really enjoy it. I hope you do. Oh, there's also world exploration, chess, puzzles, stuff like that. Exploration progress, so you get rewards for completing like exploration in an area. There's mining, that you need to do if you want to do like craftable weapons. A lot of parallels to Genshin. Oh, and quickly, I don't know how I forgot to mention this up until now. Thank God I didn't end the video without mentioning it. That'd be kind of weird. But the gacha system. Okay, I don't want to talk about the gacha drop rates because it's not confirmed and it might change at launch. But apart from that, there are a few types of different banners. So when you first join the game, there's a novice banner that has a 20% discount. So essentially you pay the price of 40 pulls to do 50 pulls. And in those 50 pulls, you're guaranteed to get 1 5-star. And after that, you unlock the standard banner parting with the incredible catch that once you do 80 pulls, you are guaranteed a 5-star unit, standard 5-star unit. And from what I know, you don't have to select it immediately. You can just kind of hold on to it and then select it whenever you know what character you're going for. On top of that, we have the weapon banner, limited weapon banner, and then limited character banner. The character banner has a very, very familiar thing called 50-50. 50% chance to get the rate up character on the banner, and then 50% chance to get a resonator, aka character, from the standard banner pool. Hard pity is at 80 though, which is different from Genshin and Star Rails, which is 90. And it's speculated that soft pity will start around 65 or so, but that's just speculation. The real different thing though is the weapon banner that guarantees you the weapon that is featured after 80 pulls, being hard pity. Maybe this is just cynicism from my part, but if they're encouraging you to pull the 5-star weapons so much, I don't know how most of the 4-star weapon options will compare in endgame. Because I've heard from people who play Punishing Grey Raven, another game made by the same company, that characters are pretty bad without their signature weapons in that game. It's just something to consider. I'm not saying that will be the case in this game. We'll have to see. Also, in the live stream that just happened, they mentioned a lot of free gifts in the game, but I don't feel I need to go over them. You just open your mail in game and you'll get them. There's a bunch of free pulls, a lot of pulls, a lot of stuff. Very cool. I'm excited for the game and I am very neutral about it. I want this game to do well. I'm looking forward mostly to the combat of it. There seems to be repeatable endgame content that is good, and I hope that it's good, and it just doesn't seem good. But we'll get the answer very, very, very soon, because when this video is out, you can already pre-download the game. I'll be streaming the game for at least 6 hours when the game first releases. You want to see how my progress is going, see what I'm doing, feel free to come check out the live stream. I'm also going to be posting daily content of highlights of the stream and just my progress on the game, because I feel like the first week, month or so is a very fun part of a new game. At the end of the day, it's a game, have fun. Hopefully this video gave you some knowledge going into the game. I'm going to be live a lot during this first month of the game. Let's learn stuff, figure out stuff together. Man, it's nice to cover games at times like this. Hope you have a good one. Stay safe, take care. Bye-bye.